Hello, fellow overcomers. Faith and Fitness by Garth here. And today I am going to talk about being prepared for your breakthrough. And I have some flashcards to help me stay on task and to not deviate from said title. Okay. Being prepared for your breakthrough. I have 4 scriptures that I would like you all to meditate on and to think more about as I talk about them and how they relate to being ready for that door to be open for the time when success is ripe, basically being prepared for your breakthrough. The first scripture is Ecclesiastes 9:11. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Success isn't only about hard work, and your breakthrough isn't always about you being the most capable. This is what this scripture is talking about. But sometimes, no, all the time, it's on God's timing when that door will open. So it is more important to just work on the things that you need to work on and to be ready for that time. When that door is open, you will be able to maintain your success and achieve all the things that God had intended when you are ready for it. An example of someone who wasn't ready for their blessing was King Saul. King Saul became the king of Israel, the first king, and he hadn't really gone through all the struggles and, perceived failures like, someone like Joseph or someone like David. He didn't really have a lot of strife or disruption on his way to becoming king. So all of the turmoil and conflict that came with it, he folded. He never really listened to what God wanted him to do. He was more concerned about pleasing the people more than hearing from God. And eventually he lost the kingdom to King David, who was more prepared and was, battle tested, or so to speak. He went through a lot of strife, but that strife built up David's character. So then when he became king, he was able to maintain the kingdom and was able to listen to God rather than the people. And that is what that scripture is about, being ready for that time. Again, another example, Joseph wanted to rush his blessing by giving the interpretation of his dreams to that baker with the intention of it getting him out of prison. But when the baker was ready to give an interpretation of that dream, God made the baker forget Joseph's name until it was time for Joseph to give that interpretation to Pharaoh, which inevitably allowed him to become prime minister or second in command to the Pharaoh. Again, Joseph had the ability to interpret dreams and for them to come to pass, but the timing was not right. So again, Joseph was faithful and continued to be patient for when the time was right. He was able to interpret the dream correctly, and God made him prime minister over Egypt because Pharaoh saw the wisdom and the tactfulness in Joseph and what he was saying, and he saw the veracity or the truth in what he was saying, and he was able to become prime minister of Egypt. And eventually, if you read the story, he was able to help Israel, his people, and all his brothers, the same brothers that, sold him into slavery and all of the other things Joseph went through. But all of that was preparation for the right season. The next scripture, Proverbs 14:23. In all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. The process of working on your goals or getting yourself closer to your goal is more important than complaining and wondering what if. This basically means trust the process. Trust that, you not being the best at what you're trying to do or what God told you to do is a process of refinement. And eventually all that refinement and perceived mishaps or perceived failures will eventually help you become the person who can hold on to your blessing and, to maintain your success and to, eventually multiply it tenfold, which is always God's intention. So, for example, I come up on here, I may say to myself, why am I coming up here? I can't speak that well. I'm afraid to, fumble my words or not always seem like I know what I'm talking about. But at that same time, doing it each time and getting better with it, planning better, eventually time will pass by when the time is right and the season is right, where it will seem like it will be effortless. I won't have to think about it. I will just do it because I got ready. I listened to God or the Most High's voice when he told me to practice this or to make a video about this to help others, because again, it's all about doing the work and knowing that every time you do something or you are, already trying to make your goals or your dreams happen, that work is working on you, so to speak. So we need to let the work on us. Again, Joseph, in his journey to become prime minister of Egypt, his brothers sold him into slavery, and he was in Egypt, as a stranger for, pretty much all of his life. And, he was in Potiphar's house. He was basically a steward over Potiphar's house, some highly elected government official, and it taught him a lot of things. Also, later Potiphar would, have him jailed, and while he was in jail for many years for a crime he did not commit, that, timing helped him build up mental fortitude, and it also helped him build up patience, and that helped his character. And all of that, for some of us that had been like, oh, Joseph is taking major L's. But no, all of that disruption and all of that, all of those obstacles helped him eventually become prepared for the leadership role that he would later take on as prime minister of Egypt, or second in command of Egypt. And he was able to help not only all of Egypt get through the famine, but those same brothers who, put him into captivity later on, came to Joseph for help. And he had the patience, the humility, and the forgiveness to help his family and to help, start the nation of Israel. So again, that scripture is saying, Proverbs 14:23, in all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends to poverty. That means we are always able to make a choice whether to complain or to trust the process. And again, time is going to pass by regardless of if we are working on our goals or striving towards them, or if we are complaining about the time hasn't arrived, the time not being in our timing, and complaining about God's timing. So that's something to think about. The other scripture is Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We must have a faith that is unwavering in the thing we are working on in the time of preparation. Our hopes may seem impossible in certain seasons, but our faith should be driving us to get ready for that season when that blessing and door opens. Again, I will give another biblical story or a biblical character, Abraham. Abraham was told, what was it? I'm not going to give you dates or ages if I'm not completely correct, but Abraham in his old age was promised an heir, basically someone to inherit all of his wealth. And, he was an old man and he didn't, think anything of it. He believed God that eventually he would have an heir. He also believed God that to take everything that he had and to leave his family, and that God would give him a land for his descendants to inherit forever. So in that time, we must have a faith like Abraham, that we are willing to take up everything and, basically forsake everything we know for something better, because the Most High knows our beginning from our end, and he knows that he has a blessing for us, or blessings for us. We need to have that faith that whatever we need to do, or at whatever cost, that he is right in his planning and he knows what he's doing, and the thing that he has for us is ultimately better for us than what we have planned. We must have that faith. And the last scripture I have is Hebrews 11:6. But without faith it is impossible to please God, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. We must have an expectation that our faith and the things hoped for will come to fruition in due season. Again, I will use Abraham as an example. Abraham in his old age, he believed God that, and had an expectation that he would inherit this land that God was talking about, and that eventually he would be able to pass down all the blessings and riches that God gave him to that heir, and that heir would later become Isaac. If we have a faith that is pleasing to God and put no limitations on him, and believing that his timing is always right, we will be ready for that blessing. And all of the stuff that we go through will allow us to maintain that blessing. Our expectation must be that he has already done in the spiritual, he has already done it in the spiritual realm where we can't see, and that it will eventually come to pass in the physical. So we just need to continue to have that faith like Abraham and be ready to do anything and everything to be ready for that blessing when it's time. I hope this helps. This was a short, concise video on getting ready for your blessing or getting ready for your breakthrough. So I want you to really look into those scriptures, familiarize yourself with the story of Joseph and Abraham and how they were ready for their breakthrough. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to email me at fitbygarth@gmail.com. Faith and Fitness Garth is my Instagram, and Faith and Fitness by Garth is my YouTube channel. And subscribe, and I will continue to give you content that will help you get ready for your blessing, and other things to come down the pipeline. So stay tuned. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment on what can be better, or what feedback is needed to make this content better. And I will get to you on the next video. Thank you, family, and enjoy the rest of your day, and be prepared for your blessing.